I am Marcus Webb. I've been driving long haul for 17 years. Mostly I run the I-80 corridor, Nebraska to Pennsylvania, back and forth. The nights blur together after a while. Rest stops, truck stops, the hum of the engine, the white lines on the asphalt pulling you forward like a trance. This happened in Wyoming, late October. I remember because the first snow was just starting to dust the plains. I'd been driving since noon. It was close to 2 a.m. when I pulled into a rest area off the interstate. One of those bare bones places, just a parking lot, some picnic tables, and a cinder block bathroom building. No lights except what spilled from the vending machines inside. There were 2 other trucks already parked. I backed into a spot at the far end, away from them. I always park away from other people if I can, just a habit. The wind was picking up. I could feel the trailer rock slightly. I shut down the engine and sat there for a minute, listening to the ticking of the cooling metal. The quiet after hours of road noise always feels strange, like the world just stopped. I ate a sandwich, drank some water, checked my phone. No signal. That wasn't unusual out here. Around 3, I climbed into the sleeper berth. The wind kept pushing against the truck, a steady pressure. I closed my eyes and started drifting. That's when I heard the knocking. 3 taps, slow, deliberate, on the driver's side door. I opened my eyes, stared at the dark fabric of the curtain separating the sleeper from the cab. My heart was thumping, but I told myself it was probably another driver. Maybe someone needed help. A jump start, directions. I pulled the curtain aside and looked out. Nobody there. I pressed my face to the window, scanned the parking lot. The 2 other trucks were dark. No movement. The bathroom building sat there like a tomb, empty. The wind, I thought. Just the wind rattling something loose. I went back to the sleeper, closed my eyes again. 5 minutes later, the knocking came back. Same rhythm. 3 slow taps, but this time it was on the passenger side. That made my skin crawl, because to get from the driver's side to the passenger side, you'd have to walk all the way around the front of the truck, and I would have heard footsteps on the gravel, but I hadn't heard anything. I sat up, grabbed my flashlight, climbed into the cab and unlocked the passenger door, pushed it open and shined the light down. Nothing, just gravel and patches of snow. I swept the beam across the parking lot, the bathroom, the tree line beyond the picnic area. Everything still, everything silent except for the wind. I shut the door, locked it. My hands were shaking a little. I told myself I was being stupid, paranoid, too much coffee, not enough sleep. I sat in the driver's seat for a while, just waiting, watching. Nothing happened. Eventually, I climbed back into the sleeper, pulled the curtain tight, lay there staring at the ceiling. I didn't hear the knocking again, but I heard something else. Footsteps, crunching on gravel, slow, circling the truck. I held my breath, listened. The steps went around the back of the trailer, came up the driver's side, stopped right outside the door. Then nothing. I waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes. My chest was tight. I wanted to look. I wanted to see who was out there. But something told me not to. Some animal instinct. Stay still. Stay quiet. The footsteps started again, circling around the front, down the passenger side, around the back, over and over. I don't know how long it went on. Maybe 20 minutes, maybe an hour. Time stretched out. The wind kept howling. The truck kept rocking, and those footsteps kept circling. Then they stopped. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. I finally crawled out of the sleeper, looked out the windows. The parking lot was empty. The other 2 trucks were gone. I didn't even hear them leave. I started the engine. Didn't care that I'd only rested for an hour. I pulled out of that rest area and got back on the interstate. Drove until the sun came up. I told myself it was probably just someone messing with me. Some kid, some drifter. But here's the thing I didn't mention. When I did my pre-trip inspection that morning, at a truck stop in Rawlins, I walked around the whole rig, checked the tires, the lights, the trailer doors. There were footprints in the thin layer of snow, all around the truck, but they didn't lead anywhere. They just circled, over and over, and then they stopped, right at the driver's door. No prints leading away, no prints leading in, just circles. I still drive that route. I still stop at rest areas when I need to, but I don't stop at that one anymore. And when I'm parked somewhere alone and the wind is blowing and I hear something that might be a knock, I don't open the door. I just start the engine and I drive. I am Daniel Corver. I've been hauling refrigerated freight for about 12 years now. Reefer work, meat, produce, pharmaceuticals, anything that needs to stay cold. The trailers run loud. That compressor unit on the front never stops. It's a constant drone that gets into your head after a while. This was somewhere in Montana. Highway 2, the northern route. Middle of January, I was carrying a load of frozen beef, headed east. The dispatcher had me on a tight schedule, deliver by 6 a.m., or the receiver wouldn't accept it. That's how it works with some of these places. Miss your window and you're stuck with a 30,000-pound problem. It was around midnight. Temperature outside was maybe 10 degrees. Clear sky, no moon, just stars and darkness and the road cutting through nothing. I'd been driving for 9 hours. I was tired, but I couldn't stop. Not yet. Still had another 4 hours to go. That's when I saw her, standing on the shoulder, right there in my headlights. A woman. She was wearing jeans and a thin jacket. No hat, no gloves. Her hair was blowing in the wind from the trucks passing by. I hit the brakes. Not hard, just enough to slow down. By the time I stopped, I was maybe 100 yards past her. I sat there for a minute, looked in the mirror. She was still standing there, not moving, just standing. Out here, you don't see people on foot. Not in winter, not at night. The nearest town was 40 miles back. There was nothing ahead for another 60. I put the truck in reverse, backed up slow, pulled onto the shoulder and stopped next to her. She didn't move, didn't wave, didn't look at me. I rolled down the window. The cold air hit me like a slap. "You okay?" I called out. She turned her head, looked right at me. Her face was pale, lips almost blue. Her eyes were dark, hollow. "I need a ride," she said. Her voice was flat, no emotion, no urgency. "Where you headed?" "East." That was it, just east. I hesitated. I'm not supposed to pick up riders. Company policy, insurance reasons. But this was different. This was someone who'd die out here if I didn't help. "All right," I said. "Come on." She walked around the front of the truck, climbed up into the passenger seat. She moved stiff, like her joints were frozen. She didn't say thank you, didn't say anything, just sat there staring straight ahead. I pulled back onto the highway. The reefer unit kept droning behind us. I turned the heat up, waited for her to warm up, to say something. She didn't. "What happened?" I finally asked. "Car breakdown?" "Yes." "Where is it?" "Back there." I glanced at her. "You want me to call someone?" "I can try. Signal's not great out here, but..." "No." We drove in silence. 5 miles. 10. The heater was blasting, but she wasn't warming up. She just sat there, rigid, staring. I started feeling uneasy. Something wasn't right. The way she moved, the way she talked. It was off. "What's your name?" I asked. She didn't answer. I looked over at her. Miss? Her head turned. Slow, mechanical. She looked at me with those hollow eyes. Where are we going? She asked. East, like you said. I'm headed to Minot. I can drop you. How long? 4 hours. Maybe less. She nodded, turned back to the windshield. Another 10 miles passed. The drone of the reefer, the hum of the tires. My eyes were getting heavy. I shook my head, reached for my coffee. It was cold, but I drank it anyway. It's cold back there, she said. I looked at her. What? In the back. It's cold. Yeah, it's a refrigerated trailer. Keeps the meat frozen. Can I see? That made my stomach drop. I don't know why. Just something about the way she asked. No, I said. It's locked. And it's just meat. Nothing to see. She nodded again. But she kept staring at the sleeper berth behind us, at the small door that led to the trailer access. I'd left it unlocked. I always do. Sometimes you need to check the load. Make sure everything's secure. Miss, you should try to sleep, I said. We've got a long way to go. She didn't respond. I focused on the road, tried to ignore her, but I could feel her eyes, watching me, then watching the door behind us, back and forth. Around 2 a.m., I needed to check the reefer temperature. The gauge on the dash was reading warmer than it should. Not a lot, just a couple degrees. But with frozen freight, that matters. I need to pull over for a minute, I said. Check something. She said nothing. I found a wide shoulder, put on the flashers, grabbed my flashlight and climbed out. Walked back to the trailer. The compressor was running. Sounded normal. I checked the readout on the unit. Temperature was fine, 30 below, right where it should be. I walked back to the cab, climbed in. She was gone. The passenger seat was empty. The door was open, just a crack. I looked around, scanned the darkness with my flashlight. Nothing. No footprints in the thin snow on the shoulder. No movement. Miss? I called out. The wind answered. I walked around the truck, checked the other side, the back, nothing. Then I heard it. From inside the trailer, a banging. Metal on metal. Steady, rhythmic. I stood there, listening, my breath fogging in the cold air. The banging stopped. I didn't open the trailer. I got back in the cab, locked the doors, and I drove. I drove straight through to Minot. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. When I got to the receiver, they opened the trailer doors. Everything was fine. Load was secure. Temperature was perfect. But there was something else. On the inside of the trailer door, scratched into the frost, were words. Let me out. I never picked up another hitchhiker. I am Robert Dulaine. I've been driving trucks for 22 years. Started when I was 25. Now I'm pushing 50, and my back knows every mile I've put on. I haul dry goods mostly, pallets of boxed freight, warehouse to warehouse. Nothing special, nothing temperature sensitive, just boxes on a trailer going from point A to point B. This happened in Nevada, Route 50. They call it the loneliest road in America. And they're not wrong. It was late September, still hot during the day, but the nights were getting cold. I was running from Salt Lake City to Carson City, a straight shot, 10 hours if you don't stop much. I left Salt Lake around 4 in the afternoon. Figured I'd drive through the night, get there by dawn, unload, sleep at a motel. That was the plan. The sun went down somewhere past the Utah border. The desert stretched out on both sides. Nothing but scrub brush and darkness. No towns, no lights. Just the road and the stars. I'd been driving for about 6 hours when I noticed the car. It was behind me, maybe a quarter mile back. Headlights in my mirror. White lights. Steady. That wasn't unusual. People drive this road at night. But after a while, I realized it was staying the same distance. Not getting closer. Not falling back. Just following. I sped up a little. 5 miles over. Then 10. The car stayed back. Same distance. I slowed down. Dropped to 60. The car slowed down too. I told myself I was being paranoid. It was just someone driving the same route, same speed, just coincidence. But it stayed there for 30 miles, 40, never passing, never falling back. Around 11 o'clock, I saw a turn-off ahead, a dirt road leading into the desert. No sign, no marker, just a gap in the fence and tire tracks disappearing into the dark. I decided to test something. I put on my turn signal, slowed down, turned onto the dirt road. The car followed. My hands tightened on the wheel. I watched the mirror. The headlights bounced as the car hit the rough road. It stayed back, same distance. I drove for maybe a mile. The road was just packed dirt, stones. Nothing out here, no buildings, no lights, just empty desert. I stopped the truck, put it in park, left the engine running. The car stopped too. A quarter mile back, headlights still on. I sat there, waiting. My heart was pounding. I could feel it in my throat. 1 minute passed, 2 minutes. The car didn't move. I reached for my phone. No signal. I knew there wouldn't be. Not out here. I flashed my brake lights. 3 times. A signal. Something. Anything. The car flashed its headlights back. 3 times. Then it started moving. Slow. Coming toward me. I put the truck in gear. Turned it around. The trailer swung wide. I had to back up twice to make the turn on the narrow road. The whole time, the car kept coming. Slow. Deliberate. I got the truck facing back toward the highway. Floored it. The tires spun in the dirt. Gravel pinged against the undercarriage. I hit the highway and turned east. Pushed the accelerator down. Checked the mirror. The car was back on the highway. Behind me. Same distance. I kept driving. 75, 80. The truck shook. The load shifted slightly. I didn't care. The car kept pace. I saw a sign. Austin, Nevada. 12 miles. It was just a tiny town. Maybe a gas station. Maybe a bar. But it was something. People. Witnesses. I pushed harder. The car stayed back. When I reached Austin, I pulled into the gravel lot of a small gas station. 1 pump, a closed convenience store, a streetlight buzzing overhead. No other cars, no people. But it was light, and that felt safer. I parked, shut down the engine, grabbed my tire thumper from behind the seat. It's a short wooden club. We use it to check tire pressure, but it's also a weapon if you need it. I waited. The car pulled in, parked at the far end of the lot, near the road, headlights still on. I couldn't see inside. The lights were too bright. I opened my door, stepped down, held the tire thumper against my leg. "Can I help you?" I shouted. No response. "You've been following me for 50 miles, I said. "What do you want?" "Nothing." I started walking toward the car, slow. My legs felt weak. Every instinct told me to get back in the truck, to leave. But I was angry and scared, and I needed to know. I got about 20 feet away. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out, tall, thin, wearing a dark jacket. He didn't say anything, just stood there, looking at me. "Why are you following me?" I said. He tilted his head, like he was confused, like he didn't understand the question. "I asked you a question," I said. He smiled, not a friendly smile, something else, something wrong. Then he got back in the car, shut the door, and he drove off. Just like that, back onto the highway, heading west. The taillights disappeared into the darkness. I stood there for a long time, breathing hard, trying to make sense of it. I didn't. I still don't. I got back in my truck, waited until my hands stopped shaking. Then I drove to Carson City, delivered the load, went to a motel, didn't sleep. The next day, I called the Nevada Highway Patrol, told them what happened. They took a report, said they'd look into it. I never heard back. I still drive Route 50. I have to. It's part of the job. But I don't drive it at night anymore. I'll sit in Salt Lake for 8 hours if I have to. Wait for daylight. Because I keep thinking about that smile, the way he looked at me, like he knew something I didn't, like it wasn't over. I check my mirrors more now, all the time, day and night, looking for headlights that stay the same distance, that follow too long. I haven't seen that car again, but sometimes, on empty roads, I see others, and I wonder. I wonder if they're just people going somewhere, or if they're waiting, following, watching for the right moment, the right lonely stretch of road, where there's no one around, no witnesses, just the darkness, and the distance, and the headlights in the mirror